Morning guys, welcome back to Bareham Engines. So hope you had a lovely bank holiday weekend guys. It's Tuesday now, we're back at it. I'm sorry about yesterday not putting the video up, but one, it was a bank holiday, and two, we went and did a cheeky track day down at Permporth again. The kit car went absolutely faultlessly yesterday. Had an absolutely fantastic day. One of the quickest out there actually, so I'm certainly getting the hang of this car. We were definitely pushing it a little bit harder. I was leaving it later on the brakes. It's hard to sort of get your head around how heavy you can brake on these things and how late you can leave it, but it just seems a little bit like the sort of harder you drive this, the more feel you get on the tyres, and the more safer you feel, if you get what I mean. It's a bit strange really, but yeah, it's a bit more wear on the side of the tyres. So I think in the second session I sort of stiffened up the suspension, a couple of clicks on the dampers, and that made a big difference. We could get more traction out of the corners, so yeah, really good. Got a little bit of a smell of diff oil from the cockpit, so I expect the diff seal is leaking a little bit. I see it's seeped through onto the floor, so yeah, it's but apart from that, no, went absolutely fine. I think what I'm going to do, we've got some XR4x4 brake discs to go on the front. I've just got to get some caliper carriers just for some little bit bigger discs on the front, and no, really enjoyed it. Unfortunately though, you know when you sort of, you know when you've left and you think, you get the feeling you've forgot something. Well, I did. I forgot my camera, so weren't actually able to get any footage, which was a shame. But yeah, looking forward to next month, do another one. And we're going to try and do one somewhere else, like Castle Combe or something. But yeah, awesome. Trying to clear up a few of the sort of outstanding jobs that have been lying about a bit, and this is one of them. This is the VR6 Golf cylinder block that we rebored for the customer. I think we went about 2mm oversize on the bores on this. But what we're doing this morning, the reason this has been lying about is not because we've sort of been slacking on it. We've managed to do the cylinder head and obviously face and bore the block, but we've been waiting for this uprated stud and nut kit to turn up, which the customer has got sent to us. And what this does is take the existing threads from, I think it's 9mm to 11 by 1.5mm. So what we've got to do is we've got to drill and tap 20 threads out to 11 by 1.5, which is a little bit tedious, but it's got to be done, and I have promised him that I'll get this back to him this week. So basically the process is we use this to just center up the hole, then we run the 9.5mm drill down there, which is basically, the way you calculate that is you've got 1.5mm pitch, take that off the 11mm thread, and that gives you 9.5, so that's your tapping drill. We then run that down to the base, which is probably about 1 inch deep. Then we use the starter tap, and then once we've done that, we do the starter tap on the mill just to make sure that they're all at perfect 90 degrees, and then I run the finishing tap down by hand afterwards. So we're in the process of that guys, and then I think what we're going to do, we're going to continue to strip that Cosworth and see what we find inside. Yeah, who knows. So we've had a couple of setbacks this morning. This block's all done now. You can see all the threads are M11. The only thing that I did find is our bottoming tap weren't very good, so I've just ordered another top quality bottoming tap just to run down here, and then this block is all done. So it is now, what, 2 o'clock, and I'm only just getting to the Cosworth. So let's get the cylinder head off this thing to start with and see what we got inside. As one of our, I'd say put this at the end of the video the other day, but one of our subscribers did comment down, I noticed, saying about this Fram oil filter. You can see, which is definitely too big anyway, so whether they've just put that on to block the I'm hoping they just put it on to sort of block the oil ways there, but if not, and they were thinking of running that, not a good idea. We've got the lack of inlet manifold gasket, just put on with GUI. See, most of the GUI is down the port. That's great, brilliant idea. You've got the front cam seal that is outside of the bearing housing. We've got the siliconed in bolt and stud, which is going to be no use whatsoever, and all it's going to do is blow past that exhaust manifold. So yeah, sort of dreading getting this head off this and seeing what we've got. So I've just took all the hydraulics out and the cams out, laid it all out on the bench there. Nothing looks untoward there. I can see that we've got standard head bolts in there, so I'm just going to remove those and let's get this head off, see what we can find. Didn't feel very tight, to be honest. I wouldn't say that they're as tight as they should be. Here we go then. Well, if I just show you a bit of this. Now the head definitely doesn't look like it's been faced to me, and it certainly hasn't been gone through. So that is a distinctly second-hand head. You can see the finish of the head there. It looks like someone's been over with a bit of wet and dry. Probably has been faced in the past. Bit of an iffy goings on here at the corner of this valve. Either that valve's been faced or it's started to burn away. Definitely quite a lot of carbon build up in there, and it's definitely out of a run engine. The cylinder head gasket looks like it's been put on with Haldite all over, so it's very sticky and took some getting off. It looks like we've got a little bit of rubber glove in there, trapped, which is not going to help matters. And we have it looks like the bores have been deglazed. It is on a standard bore actually, although there's quite a lot of wear at the top. There's about a 3.5 thou wear ridge up the top there. So deglazing one of these with a set of rings, if that's what they've done, not advisable. So it certainly hasn't been rebored. We've got an old set of 0432 YB pistons here, which are sitting about 1 millimetre below the block face, which is not good. Not what I do. Down on this piston here, we've got 2 big valve dings from the inlet side, and none on the others, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But these pistons, as I say, I normally run pistons about 12 to 15 thou protrusion, so I'm going to get this sump off. But the block face, as you can see, it's been faced once in its life, but really badly. It's a terrible finish. You can feel it's so coarse. Never going to hold a gasket, that. I think next step, we'll get the sump off and see what we've got in amongst there with regards to crank and rods, etc. I mean, before I take the sump off, I've just literally turned this block over, and although there's no oil in it, look at the crap that just fell out of this block. It's absolutely horrendous. You just look inside the water jacket and it's, obviously been sitting with moisture in it for quite a while, but that is just horrendous. It hasn't even been blown out, I shouldn't think. Well, we've got one con rod out and we've got one main cap off, and basically the conclusion is with this head, so if we start from the top, we've got those little issues externally. It's got standard cams in it which don't look too bad. Second-hand buckets. Now apparently the owner said that this engine was sold to him as all been sort of freshened up, ready to go 400 horsepower engine. But I did say to him, I don't quite know where they get these power figures from and how they know that the engine's going to be good for that. I mean, a 205 block to start with is a time bomb. in anything more than standard, because they just pull up around those bolt threads to the point where they just crack into a water jacket, and it's an unknown. You never know when that's going to happen. So yeah, it was sold to him as supposedly all freshened up. Well, clearly the cylinder head is not freshened up. The block face is like a ploughed field. It has got a new head gasket on it, although neither faces have been faced, and it's been hell-dighted on. You've got that bit of rubber glove there sitting in near an oil way. We've got the sump off. It's got a distinctly second-hand oil pump here. As you can see by the rotor there, that is very worn, as is the cap. There's a big old wear mark in there, so that's a distinctly second-hand pump. The bearings in it, at first look, they look new, but they're actually not. They're the original crank bearings. They've got the original Ford stamp, but someone sort of Scotch-Brighted them just to clean them up. And the same on the crankshaft. It's not been polished, it's just had some sort of wet and dry rub around it. Found out the reason why the very early two-wheel drive pistons are sitting a millimetre or so lower than the block face, is because it has early Pinto com rods, which are about 1 mil shorter than the Cozzies. There's no small end bush in there. The pin is too long for the Cosworth anyway, so it's not a Cozzy pin. There's no circlips, although there should be circlips in this piston. There's no circlips, so what they've done is they've just sort of pressed the pin into the rod and fitted the Cosworth piston to that rod. Don't know why, but it's sitting way lower than it should do. They've deglazed the bores, which no point really, and they haven't even put a new set of rings on, their second-hand rings. So there we go. The crank is at standard. So we're just going to get this stripped and measure all the rest of it, and hopefully the crank is grindable and salvageable. But so far, I think he's paid half decent money for this, and we've got a cylinder head which, in fairness, has got hardly any corrosion on. So that is a good head, and it's about getting on 0.5 mil. Been took off in the past, so that is a good head to start with. So he wants to go good power on this, 500 to 600 horsepower potentially. So we've had a chat on the phone, and I think what we can salvage out of this is the cylinder head, the crankshaft, and that is about it really. We're going to go, I think next steps, we're going to port the cylinder head, obviously go through that, new guides, etc. We are going to sort out his rocker cover, paint that in a bit of a bespoke colour. Going to clean up the manifold there for him, so he can maybe move that on depending what he wants to do on a manifold. Probably use the two-wheel drive manifold unless he goes tubular. I don't know we haven't sort of spoke that far, but we're going to clean up this block, we're going to face it and bore it, and then he's going to sell that block as a good sort of reconditioned 205 block. So there we go, guys. I know a lot of the time I always seem a bit pessimistic at the beginning on when people come up and say that this engine's all been done, can you just check it out, or it's supposedly all been done. We've seen it 1,000 times before, so yes, we do seem a bit pessimistic, but the proof's there really. It wasn't what it was meant to be, and they very rarely are, to be honest with you, in some way, shape or form. So yeah, just a lesson, guys. Just be very aware when you're buying something that is all done. I hope you've enjoyed today's video, guys. We'll have another one tomorrow. Take care. See you again. Cheers. Bye.